Thank you. Comprehensive update there as ever. On to Arsenal. And of course, the deal's been agreed for a few days, but the formal permission for Gyökeres to come and do his medical has now happened. He's also gone and picked that very iconic number 14 shirt as well, which I think means quite a lot to Arsenal fans. He's on his way. What can Arsenal expect next? There have been some rumours that they've slowed down talks with Rodrigo's and Eze's, and they may not do anything else. Fabrizio and others have sort of suggested this isn't over yet for Arsenal. More is to come. What's the latest there now that the medical for Gyökeres has begun?
Yeah, Viktor Gyökeres either flying him or has landed now. Arsenal fans will be able to tell me better because I know they're tracking the plane.
Arsenal fans know what he had on the plane to eat, mate. They know.
But, you know, this was a story that I reported a couple of days ago that Viktor Gyökeres was expected in London on Friday. Many Arsenal fans replied and said he's already there. Today, we see him board the plane and he'll either have landed or is about to land. And then the original plan, if it doesn't change, is first part of the medical this evening, completion tomorrow. He will sign for 63.5 million euros and 10 million in add-ons. I won't go into the details of the add-ons, but if you check my feed, I broke an exclusive story earlier with the breakdown. So basically 5 million of the add-ons is based upon appearances. 1 million of the add-ons is ratioed with goal contributions, and 4 million of the add-ons is if Arsenal qualify season on season for the league phase of the Champions League. And that was the sticking point in this deal. Now it's all agreed. Viktor Gyökeres is Arsenal's number 9, or really number 14, because he's going to take Thierry Henry's shirt. And finally, this one is a done deal. All of the drama has been resolved. Gyökeres is, or will be, once it's formalised, an Arsenal player. My expectation, because he's going to be heading out to the pre-season tour and thus seen and photographed, is that Arsenal will likely announce this on Sunday. But I'll keep you posted and obviously wait for the official club announcement. That's not a definite timescale, but the feeling within Arsenal is it will be completed and announced within 48 hours. And are Arsenal done? I don't think so, because they're still looking at that central attacking midfield position. Even though Ethan Nwaneri can play there, there's still a possibility if they do pivot and don't add in that position, they bring in another left winger, even though Noni Madueke can switch sides. I think for that to happen, one of Gabriel Martinelli or Leandro Trossard will have to leave. Rodrigo, we're hearing noise everywhere, but there's no update because he's not come back from holiday and met Xavi Alonso yet. And until that meeting happens, there will be no player to club talks. There will be agents working on the deal. There will be speculation, but Rodrigo hasn't directly engaged with any club. And Arsenal love Rodrigo, but they've always thought it's a very expensive deal. Liverpool love Rodrigo, but they've always thought it's a very expensive deal. So I'm not so sure that these Premier League clubs will necessarily move in that direction. You got more market opportunity like Malik Fofana, who's far cheaper and very highly rated by both Liverpool and also Arsenal. You got Anthony Gordon. What if Alexander Isak stays? Someone might make a late window play for Anthony Gordon instead. And again, Arsenal and Liverpool really like that player. But if Arsenal bring in a left winger specifically, they'll need a departure first, according to my information. And then centrally, Eberechi Eze, keen on a move to Arsenal. Crystal Palace's position is release clause or nothing. We'll have to wait and see whether Arsenal try anything, knowing that. So they've held the club-to-club talks that I referenced a few weeks ago, and they've been told directly it's release clause or nothing at this stage of the window anyway. So now the ball's back in Arsenal's court, whether they move or not. Do they enter the race for Xavi Simons, where there's clear appreciation? It's not impossible. So I don't think Arsenal are done yet. It will be Gyökeres and potentially one more attacker, in my opinion, but we may need to wait for an exit first.
So just based on your information, so unlikely that they get Eze and another left-sided winger.
I think at this stage, certainly without a major outgoing, obviously Eze can play centrally or over on that left-hand side. Noni Madueke can play on the left-hand side too. So it will be a surprise if there's more than one attacker. Now, we have had some suggestions in the last kind of 24 hours that Gabriel Jesus might be up for sale. So there could be a few moving parts and other slightly less expected outgoings. But at the moment, if everything goes according to plan, I think it might be one more attacker, not two. So just either a left winger or a central attacking midfielder. And then the possibility, if they go big on the left winger, that Martinelli or Trossard will have to be sold. And you may remember on this show, we've said many, many times the same thing, that it's only each extreme with both of those players. So Martinelli is not for sale as of now, and there's been some formative engagement over a new deal. Trossard has had positive talks over an extension. So when people hear that, the natural assumption is they'll both stay, and that may be true. But I think if they stay, between now and certainly the end of next season, they'll stay on new terms. You don't usually have to work on these renewals during the window. It's not impossible. But I think more likely is that if they end up Arsenal players at the end of the window, steps will be taken to lock them down on fresh terms, reward them and or protect their value. The other extreme is that in the process of trying to renew each, you just get a really good offer in the next 5 weeks. And then at the other extreme, I think Arsenal would entertain that.
Yes, I think it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, that won't be the news Arsenal fans wanted to hear in terms of, I think what they really want to hear is Arsenal are still going to go and get 2 more attackers. I think that is what the utopian sort of view of things are. But look, as you say, let's see what transpires in the next few weeks. It might also not suit Arsenal right now to brief the media and to push that news out, because prices go up, the player sales go down if people know they've got to sell to do that. But I'm sure you'll keep us briefed on these shows and everything else. We had a comment here from Barcelona, England, who says, is it true that Spurs want Rodrigo?
Not to my knowledge, no, that's fake news as far as I'm aware. Not a player that fits into their wage structure. And, remember, they see big things from Mathis Tel. So if they sign another left-sided player as expected, I think they'll be more versatile, possibly like Son, who can go and play as a false 9, who can lead the line, who can play as an attacking midfielder and can play as a left-sided player, rather than signing a winger. You bring in Rodrigo, and what does that say to Mathis Tel, who's expecting a fair amount of game time? So Spurs and Rodrigo is not something I've heard. But to be honest, every club and Rodrigo has not yet happened. So despite speculation and noise, which I think is being driven by agents, Rodrigo's not communicated anything to any club. And he will give preference to Real Madrid to hold a conversation on his future. And I know it feels like we're just going round and round here, but until Rodrigo has that meeting, there will be zero advancement on the Rodrigo story. That meeting is expected to happen imminently. It could even be as early as this weekend. It doesn't require face-to-face. They might just do it on a call, depending on what the player wants. And if he wants to come back to the pre-season with the group, or if he wants to be given a period of time, like, for example, Marcus Rashford was, to find a new club. So I think by this time next week, when you ask me that question again, we'll have a much clearer picture. But it's step by step. And Rodrigo hasn't communicated anything to any club. He's not held any meeting on his future yet with Real Madrid. If he says to Real he wants to leave, Real are 100% prepared to sell, and for in and around the 90 million euros mark. And then it will all hot up. But we have to wait and see whether the player agrees with Real, or if he wants to try and fight for his place under a new manager, and whether he's content to play predominantly on the right side because of Kylian Mbappe and Vinny Jr., or whether he's told he'll get more opportunities on the left. And all of these conversations still need to be had before we start speculating about where Rodrigo may end up.
Ben, absolutely fantastic, comprehensive breakdown as ever.